So this is the Windsor-Essex Spring Sneak Peek event that we're putting on, so I'm so grateful for everybody. Sean has done a masterful job of getting me here, so it's great. So, and she's going to take it from here.
All right, so again, we're thrilled to have everyone here, and there are a few people who have registered who haven't come yet, so maybe they might pop in late, but we're so thankful that you were on time and that you've come to join us tonight, and we have some amazing speakers. So as Jordan said, we have Matthew McDonald. Which do you prefer?
Matt's good.
Matt is good, okay.
If I'm in trouble.
And he's from RBC, so he's going to be bringing us an economic update. We have Mayor Sherry Bondy here. She's the mayor of Essex. And also we have Jordan Silvester, who's going to be bringing a real estate update. So we're going to start with Matt McDonald. So he is an RBC mobile mortgage specialist. I had to practice that because it's a bit of a tongue twister. He's been with RBC for 12 years, and he's done everything from client advisor to financial advisor and now mortgage specialist. And we know from Matt, we've had quite a few conversations with him now. It's been interesting to get to know him, and we really like how you get to know your clients and their needs, and then he likes to craft solutions to make sure that he can meet those needs the best he can. So would you please welcome Matt McDonald? All right, Thanks. Matt, so you're going to go ahead and you'll chat, and then I'm going to ask you some questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Thanks for coming out tonight. For those of you that don't know me, Shauna, thank you for the introduction.
No problem.
I've been with RBC for 12 years, did every role all the way from client advisor now to mortgage specialist. So being in a mortgage specialist role, the biggest thing that we want to do is make sure our clients are getting pre-approved. So what the pre-approval is all about is collecting income documents, gathering the down payment rate up front. We also do a credit score as well, or a credit check as well, to make sure clients have clean credit, or if they don't have clean credit, how can we help to fix that before they go out and purchase a house? And that's where we rely on Jordan to get that pre-approval letter. So really the pre-approval is all about the client's financial information right now. So again, down payment, income, and finances. So with working with an RBC mortgage specialist, we're along the client's path along the way. So what we do is we meet with them, get a sense of what they're looking at in terms of purchase price, and then that's where we can refer it out to someone like Jordan. And then what we do is we have the clients reach out to us as soon as they're ready to write any sort of offer, just to make sure that the numbers are going to work, right? Instead of clients writing an offer, maybe they're going in over what their pre-approved amount is, and then it just might not work, right? So for those of you that don't know, down payment sources, government in Canada introduced the first home savers account about a year ago now. So it's just another way for clients to use a bucket to for their down payment. So every year a client can put in $8,000. It is a tax write-off for when they go file their taxes. As long as the client's the age of 18 or older, they can open up their first home savers account, and then they can have their carry forward room. In addition to that, the client still can use their RSP. Now they can take out $35,000 out of their RSP in order to purchase. And the last one, of course, is their tax-free savings or their bank account savings. Biggest thing for down payment is you have to hold it for a minimum 90 days in the account. Otherwise, we just have to wait until it's saved up for that 90 days, or we might be able to get a gift letter from mom, dad, or an immediate family member. So usually the biggest tip that I give my clients is, especially if they're a year, maybe 2 years out, is if they don't have their down payment saved up, we'll calculate what a mortgage payment is going to look like, and then we'll have the client put away that savings for a specific period of time until they've got that down payment saved. Right now, we do have a couple specials going on with interest rates. So if the client comes in and meets with me today, we do a 3-year term. We can get them in at 5.09%, as well as a 4-year at 5.19%. Now, if the client's putting less than 20% down, there's a default insured mortgage, and we can get them in at 5.04%. When we do mortgage qualifying, we do have to qualify at the mortgage stress test rate, which is either 5.25 or 2% over the contract rate, which makes it a little bit harder for clients to qualify, especially if they're single income. So that's where we're seeing a lot more mom and dads co-signing with their kids in order for them to purchase. And there's a couple ways that we can do that, either as a guarantor, or we do have a product under the home line plan where the parents don't need to be on title. They can just be on as the mortgage. So it doesn't impact maybe potential capital gains, land transfer tax, so on and so forth.
That's going to be us.
Perfect, and that's about it for myself.
Okay, so I have a couple questions. You're not off that easy. Okay, so Matt, are you able to utilize your FHSA, your RSP, and TFSA for the down payment on a home? I know you touched on that, but just double checking, all of those you're able to use?
You are, yeah. So with the first home savers account, you can hold up to $40,000, $8,000 per year over 5 years, or lifespan of 15 years.
Okay.
You can use that. $35,000 you can use out of your RSP. Then you just have to repay it back over 15 years. Tax-free savings and, of course, cash.
Okay. People actually have $35,000 put away in their RSPs.
You'd be surprised.
That's amazing. I mean, we totally have that. Okay. I have another question for you. What is the minimum down payment on a home, even if I'm not a first-time home buyer?
Yeah, so minimum down payment is 5%.
Okay.
On the first $500,000, and then 10% on the difference.
Oh, okay.
So even if you're, a 5-time home buyer, it's always 5%.
Okay.
Even if you're purchasing a second home.
Okay. Thank you. Does RBC finance tiny homes, ADUs, which is an additional dwelling unit, and mobile homes?
We do. So with the mobile homes, we're one of the only financial institutions in Canada that will finance mobile homes.
Okay.
They're always going to be default insured. It doesn't matter if you're putting 20% down or more.
Okay.
They're always CMHC default insured.
Okay.
And then ADUs, we can do the financing. It's something that's brand new.
Yeah.
But it's more of we're refinancing the existing property, asking for a market rent if the owner of the house is looking to rent that out.
Okay.
And same thing with tiny homes. We're able to finance as long as it's 500 square feet or more.
Oh, okay. All right. You know a lot. That's amazing. What is the difference between a pre-approval and a firm approval?
Yeah, so pre-approval is based on the current financial situation.
Okay.
So income, credit score, employment income, and of course down payment.
Okay.
And then the firm approval is really all about the house itself. So that's where we go in, we order the appraisal. And as long as the appraisal comes in at asking or more, then we should be good to go.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for all your information there and your expertise. We really appreciate it. And we will have some time at the end for any questions for Matt. So if you have any questions and you want to jot them down, we'll make time for that afterwards. So thank you. Next, I would like to introduce Mayor Sherry Bondy. She has over a decade of dedicated service to the town of Essex. Mayor Sherry Bondy has transitioned from a 12-year tenure as ward councillor to the position of mayor. She is deeply rooted in connection with the community. If you know her at all, you know she is in the community, like in the trenches with the people. You're amazing. She consistently advocates for the residents in the communities of Essex County and in Windsor, and she's continually pushing for attainable housing solutions, which is one of the reasons that we've asked her to be here today. So thank you so much. Would you please welcome Mayor Sherry Bondy?
Thank you. You're too kind. I'm actually wearing running shoes because I was grabbing a garbage pail out of a ditch today because I'm on this pledge. I'm going to pitch it to everybody. picking up 1 bag of garbage a day. I'm on day 43. So go to your local library, pick up a garbage kit, and hashtag ECL pickup. Having a cleaner Essex County benefits us all, right? Yep. Nobody wants to have garbage everywhere. So I'm the mayor of Essex, and thank you. And Essex County is a 2-tiered government. If you didn't know, we have our local municipalities, and then I'm part of a regional government. So I wear kind of 2 hats there. I'm also a landlord. I have a little rental property, and I'm also in the middle of trying to build a tiny home in my backyard, which is kind of interesting. My application goes to the Committee of Adjustment in Essex because I need a variance of about 5 feet in my backyard because my backyard's small, but my tiny home is small. So I'm trying to get it done. I'm trying to lead by example. And with the housing crisis, I think intensification is really the way to go. And I need a nanny. I need help. I'm a little run down. I'm a mom of many kids, and a couple are still at home, and we've kind of had a cold for like the last year and a half. So that's why my voice is like this. So bear with me. So Essex, we're booming for once, Essex County in particular, but Essex is still somewhat booming. We have lots of plans of subdivision on the go and lots of exciting things going on. We also have a great area. Essex County is a great area. We have our beautiful wineries, our beaches, and lots of job opportunities. So I think that that's something we need to market. And what I do see is I have welcome bags in the community, and what I do see is when people move to Essex County, a lot of them are not from Essex County. So that's something to keep in mind is when we're marketing ourselves, we need to market to the greater area, right? The houses here are still, they're more expensive than they were, but they're still more affordable than other places. So Essex is 4 wards. It's kind of unique. It's a unique municipality. We have Essex Centre. We have half of McGregor. The other half is split with Amherstburg. That brings on a lot of challenges. We have Harrow and we have Colchester. So it's not always easy to be the mayor of 4 different communities that used to fight a lot, I guess. We're excited to share that we're working on our draft official plan right now. So the county and all the local municipalities are working on the official plan. So what does that mean? It's basically a land use plan, doing an inventory of our employment lands, which is where people work, commercial, industrial, and our residential lands, and seeing where we need to grow and where we can grow. Fortunately, Essex is not getting any more residential lands at this time, meaning that the settlement areas that we have enough potential to grow inside those settlement areas for the next, short term. The municipalities that are slated to grow is Leamington. That's the area that got quite an increase in residential. We did get some increases in employment and industrial, which is good. So all the municipalities now are working together on this official plan, and sometimes we can trade and sometimes we can swap. So if there's residential land that isn't favorable due to, say, flooding conditions, say somewhere in Colchester, marshland, we can take that designation and flip it to, say, the outskirts of Harrow to build in our core. So that's really what we're dealing with right now, and it's a pretty big deal when you talk about land designation and potentially removing somebody's residential land designation and putting it somewhere else. A little bit contentious, but kind of important to the whole overall picture. So another thing that we're working on is increasing affordability in Essex. We're not really leading the way, but I'd like to eventually lead the way. We're now putting out a call for an affordable housing task force. It was something near and dear to me in 2022. I have a website, sherrybondy.com, and I wrote out there before the election all the ideas that I could think of on how to get affordability. So an affordable housing task force. For example, the town of Essex, we have, you have to give a developer, if they want to develop a property, they have to give us cash and for the securities, for the services. So, the water mains, the infrastructure, they have to literally hand over cash, half of the cash. So say the servicing is $1.2 million, they have to give us $600,000 in cash. That is really starting to be a struggle for developers because they have to put money out for the property. They have to put money out for the servicing. So one of the things I want the Affordable Housing Task Force to do is, do other municipalities use surety bonds? Is there a hybrid model we can use? because recently we had a development roundtable, and that was a common theme with developers. We are all putting demands on developers to build affordable housing, but when you think about it, when they have the land costs, they have the servicing costs, they have to hold on to that property. They're paying interest on all of these costs. So how can we meet them halfway to get them to make affordable housing? So other things we're looking at, smaller lot frontages, not everywhere, but some people now don't want to cut 60-foot frontage lots, right? People want smaller lots too. Not everywhere. So we're looking to see, are there places in our municipality that make sense to have smaller lots? And we're reviewing things like lot coverage, how much building can be on a lot, all within making sure that, we have enough land area to accommodate stormwater and to make sure that, we're not living one on top of the other. So we have our plan, and our official plan, we're looking to see if we can mandate 20% of the new builds in our town to be affordable. So it's going to be a little tricky, and it's hard to define, but we're still going to do that. I'm not sure if everybody's heard, but we have the Harrow High School building that we own. We have put that out. We're putting that out to tender. We haven't quite finished the tender documents yet, but we want to entice developers of that property to incorporate some affordable housing units in there. So that's one thing we're working on. We're also looking at residential intensification. So Essex was one of the first to look at ADUs. So the province by right says each house, each property, each single family dwelling can have 2 additional dwelling units. That means, you can convert your basement into a living quarters, and you can put an additional dwelling unit, you could call them a nanny suite, whatever you want to call them, in the backyard, if you have the room. So we were the first to put that into our bylaws, so by right you could have it. And now we're starting to see additional dwelling units pop up in our inventory. Each month, the town of Essex, we get a building report on our agenda. We get a building report on our agenda, and it shows in 2023 we had 12 additional dwelling units. So we had, I think it was like 4, standalone ADUs, and then 8 built inside somebody's house. So it's coming, right? And so my hope is that on the 16th, my variance is approved, and then what I'm going to do is market it as much as I can to show that this is an example of what you can do. Now, one question I think I should answer is a tiny home affordable? It's not really that affordable. Like, to be honest, in 2008, I paid $159,000 for the house I'm currently living in now, and my tiny home is going to cost about $180,000. So it's not really affordable, but I figure I got to bite the bullet. I'm young enough now. I'm going to rent it out, and even if I have to top up, maybe I can't charge what the mortgage payment is. Maybe I have to top it up, but eventually it's going to be the right thing for me to do. Whether I sell my house later and now I have an investment or whatever. I think what it's going to do is open doors, right? So I'm trying to make sure, and as mayor, as a side note, there is no pension as mayor. I do have some RSPs, but there's no pension as mayor. So I have to create my own pension, which is what I'm trying to do. So I want to encourage people to, think about creating your own pension. And I think we really need to focus society on minimalism, right? I want to move in the tiny home and leave my kids in the big home and put the nanny in the basement. So I was like, I can't wait. So things like that. We were also, something that I think everybody should pay attention to is AUD search. It's not back up and running yet, but it is, we had to buy the licensing and we had to get it in budget. So we should be probably by the end of this month. When I first got interested in the tiny home, I went to AUD search. Amherstburg, Essex, and the city of Windsor are on it. You can go and you can check a particular property. You can punch in your address and it'll give you a green, a yellow, and a red kind of map of your property. And if you're green or yellow, that means you could potentially have an ADU in your backyard. So when I pulled up the map, I was green. Really, I'm more yellow. So I was green, and I started thinking about it. So with our ADUs, there is 4 feet lot line on each side and 25 feet on the back, and that's Essex. Not every municipality is the same. So if you're thinking about looking at it, you need to look into your municipality and see what your setbacks are. And my property goes on an angle. So one side of my tiny home will be in conformance, but the other side I need a variance of 5 feet. So I'm banking on the Committee of Adjustment approving my variance of 5 feet. And if they don't, then I guess I won't spend, I got a home equity line of credit because my house is paid off. So I got a home equity line of credit against it. And I don't even know what percentage is, but it's not good. So I talked to you, but my tiny home's only 435 square feet. So you got to go back to the drawing board. It's not 500. So if it passes, then I really want to market it, and we'll be off and running there. So I don't know. They sent me notes. Town Hall sent me notes, but I didn't really read them. So. Yeah, I don't know. If there's anything else, I'm here for questions.
Okay, thank you. This is why we like you so much, because you're real. You're real. Thank you so much for all of that information. That was very valuable and very insightful. So we really.
Well, if I could just say, I made a lot of notes when you were speaking, Matt, because it was really good for me to hear all these things, and I'm really fired up to talk to our youth about how they can get started on saving for buying homes. Sorry.
Oh, that's awesome. Please interrupt me all you want. That's awesome. So, again, we're going to have a question and answer period at the end. So jot down your questions and we'll make sure that these guys can have a chance to answer them. So, again, thank you so much, Sherry. So next I'd like to introduce the Realtor of the Hour. That would be Jordan Silvester. He has over 15 years of experience in both real estate and investment. His strength is in identifying and solving complex market challenges. He consistently stays on top of the current market trends so that he can serve his clients to the best of his ability. His knowledge and expertise gives him a cutting edge to deliver results, and I'm not just saying that because he's my boss. Would you please welcome Jordan Silvester?
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, guys. It's been great listening to you guys chat about the mortgages, and then really cool to hear a lot of what you're doing in the community around ADUs and the structures there. Again, Shauna, do we have the...
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, perfect. So, as we're looking at the real estate market and we're trending into spring, if you've been watching any of my content, again, it's been the idea that right now we've been in a pretty stable environment for the past year maybe, after we, of course, had the adjustment of the interest rates a few years ago. Again, if you're looking behind me, you can see this is the current most up-to-date market we've got as of the end of March. So average actual price came down about $10,000, about 2% from last month, but the sales went up over 100 units. So 30% more sales last month. So again, what we are seeing is in the affordability. The reason why the average would come down is because, of course, more lower-end homes are selling, which is meaning hopefully we're getting more and more people into some level of affordable housing. As you mentioned, like the affordability structure is like you're looking at the $180,000 on the HELOC, going, okay, what's my interest rate on that? And is it even profitable to do? We'll talk. In that regard, and that's great. And so we still have about the other benefit is our inventory levels technically are still holding. So we still have about 1,000 listings active on the market. Some of them, of course, are priced still with people's expectations a few years ago, or they bought them 2 years ago and they're in a spot where they're struggling to possibly sell them and get out of them even just with their shirt on, because they may be $100,000 underwater on some of those properties just due to the market correction. But when you're looking at the overall market condition, we have 1,100 homes for sale approximately today. At 465 sales, though, that only gives us about 70 days worth of inventory, whereas last month we had 90 days of inventory. So if you understand it, as that keeps trending down, we're going to start to see the inventory get eaten up and swallowed up, and that's really where the affordability comes in. When there is no inventory, what happens? Well, there's more competition for the same property, and we're already seeing it. 15 offers here, 20 offers there. We're seeing 80 and 100,000, 200,000 over list starting coming back into the environment. It's not all the way there yet. There's still time if you are thinking of buying or thinking of investing. I don't know how long it holds. We're still in a market where there's still a level of fear, or I wouldn't even call it fear. I'd just say there's a level of stability, but nobody's really sure what's next. When are they going to actually lower rates? We've chatted, we've thought about would they lower rates already, right? We're in April. This was the first, we thought maybe by April of this year they would actually take the prime rate and drop it at least by a quarter. That looks like it's off into July again. But that's just, we're all sort of guessing. And I think with Once they do that, though, what we're going to see is the people who are all sitting on the fence waiting for the market to drop or waiting for the rate to come down. The problem is the moment that happens, how many people are in that same boat? And so if I can give a piece of advice, it's not that you should do anything that isn't profitable now, but one of the things our broker of record says, Glenn McQueenie, our broker owner says, is date the rate. You're not going to, the rate likely will be lower in a few years. So as long as you can manage the rate today, but get into equity now, because the odds are when the rate comes down, the prices go up. Right? One of the things I learned from when the adjustment happened was if you kind of look at what the people didn't spend, they spent less on homes because they could only afford the same amount. So if you could have bought a house in South Windsor for $700,000, but now can only spend $500,000, well, that's why the adjustment from the value of that home went from $700,000 down to $500,000. Was there's less people able to afford it. Whereas if you give them back the borrowing power, the concern I see for the market is that people will likely go back to their bad habits. And Sherry mentioned this earlier about educating people around finances. Like, again, affordability is the minimalist mindset. It's spending below your need or finding ways to live in community. So one of the things we are seeing people do in the market today, as we're heading into this next thing, is come together. Like my son's 18 and his buddy Isaac here, like they're considering, let's buy an investment together. Instead of how do I buy my own home, how do we come together and buy stuff in community? And you can do that at any age. You don't have to be young. You can be any age. If you're looking at it, how do we get ourselves into equity? Because once you're in equity, at least as the market does change, you're able to ride it out. If you're buying real estate to flip in the moment, it's not. I don't think that's the greatest of ideas in the current economy. But to buy real estate as far as an investment, even like you said, if you have to fund a little bit in the short term, in the long term, I do believe that by investing into your future today, it'll benefit you. So as we're walking through the next stage of the market, as we're heading into this moment where we are heading into the spring market, there is an expectation things pick up. Hopefully the weather changes, we get a little bit nicer out. We're going to start to really see the properties start to show better because all the blooms come back. The pools look really nice. So when you're showing it's great in the summertime, you got a pool in the backyard and it's 90 degrees out. They walk outside, they're like, I want to jump in the pool. So they're just going to buy the house so they can have a pool. Like all those types of things are coming back. So if you are considering or looking, this is why we're here tonight. It's the spring sneak peek. It's to let you know you're probably going to want to meet with Matt soon if you're or anybody you know in that business side, your mortgage brokers, and get an idea of what you could possibly afford and or find some really good friends that you want to be in partnership with around even buying an investment, whether you live in it. And that's the other thing I'll say. It's one of my favorite quotes is you can rent anywhere. But you can also buy a rental in a place you don't want to live. A lot of people say, well, I can't afford, I don't want to live in this neighborhood. I don't feel safe or I'm uncomfortable. But you can buy a rental there and then use the cash flow from that to move yourself into a neighborhood you would be renting in anyway. So why not get yourself into an equity position now where you have affordability in a neighborhood that you can afford, or even other, we are Windsor-Essex County, but like Chatham-Kent is $100,000 average less expensive than Windsor-Essex. And if you get a good property management company, they can manage a property out there for you. So I'm not saying, hey, like as a realtor, I don't generally work out there, but I'm saying there is opportunity. Again, as Sean had said earlier, I like to find creative solutions to try to help people get themselves into equity, find a way to get themselves so they can become homeowners, and in the long term, they can get ahead. Because if we keep going the way we're going, it feels like, again, I'm saving to try to catch a train that's going away, right? You're saving $20,000, but the market's moved $100,000. And so with that, I think it's just important as we move forward as a group and community together that we find ways together in community maybe to purchase, working with our mortgage brokers and with our local authorities and governments to find ways where we can add these ADUs. We can find that streamline the path. Like the biggest problem I find with most of my people is it's all the red tape. We bought a property and tried to get it done in Windsor, and it took 6 months to get the building permit back. Well, we have to carry that property without being able to work on it for 6 months. That makes it less likely to do that again because of the investment. So when you're looking at these things, remember, it's a great opportunity to get out there and invest. We've got lots of solutions. We are working for affordability, and we're trying to come up with good ideas.
Awesome. So I have some questions for you, Jordan.
Sure.
What is the first step I should take if I want to buy in the market or invest?
The first step I'd recommend is probably talking to somebody who deals with money. So whether or not that's my friend here, Matt, or another mortgage broker that you know, probably figuring out what your affordability is, what your kind of options would be, it would be the first step. And then, but I want to be clear. So let's say he says you have $150,000. Don't just say, okay, well then I can't buy a house. Maybe there's an opportunity where we find you a partner who you get two people who have $150,000. Now you can buy a $300,000 investment. I get you're not going to get to move into the home maybe that you thought, but at least you can get into equity.
Okay, so determining affordability and then looking at probably the area as well and the amenities I want to be around too, right? I'm assuming that's important. Okay, and then when looking at a home, what are the most important things to consider in your opinion? Because I think what I would consider important when I walk into a home is probably not what you would consider important. So tell us.
So when I was a younger realtor, I've always looked at homes as structure. I've never really cared about the beauty of the home, basically because you can change a lot of the things that make a home beautiful. The paint colors, the cabinets.
I care about the beauty.
and it's actually really interesting because even when I have investors who aren't going to ever live in this property, they still care about those things. And I'm structure based because to me, do you have a solid foundation? Do you have the ability to spend a few $1,000s? See, if you have to do foundation work, if you have to do windows, you have to do roofs, you have to do furnace and AC and the kitchens and those bigger cosmetic things, those have big tickets. But if you just have to paint the walls, A, paint's not expensive, and B, if you can do it yourself, it's something that's easier to do, or lay laminate flooring or vinyl plank today is my recommendation. You can get a home that maybe, has a bunch of carpet in it and all this stuff with some elbow grease. You can turn that home into a beautiful home with maybe a few $1,000s versus if you're looking for the perfect home and you spend $30,000 or $40,000 more to purchase it because it looks like that.
Okay, good advice. With the adjustments in the real estate market over the past couple of years, would you say that this is a good time to buy or invest, or is waiting better? You kind of touched on that, but just reiterate for us what you think.
Yeah, I would say when I look back to 2008 when I entered this business and people were like, you can't buy in Windsor, it's never going to be worth anything and all of that, like we had that thing. This is a very different economy. Look at where Windsor is going. Look at we have the bridge being built right now. We have the battery plant coming in. There's all the other things going on throughout the county. I don't think we're in the same spot. So we might be seeing the lowest real estate prices we're going to see in the area for a while. Because if you look up the 401 and you go to London, you keep driving, you hit Kitchener-Waterloo, you keep driving, then you hit the edge of Milton, then you get to Mississauga and then the GTA. They don't get cheaper as we take that road. And as you can see, I did skip Chatham because it is somewhere where again there is more affordability from the perspective of homes. But I would not wait because I do believe that when they lower the interest rate, the amount of energy that's going to be driven from the people who are all sitting on the fence waiting for that will eat up a lot of the inventory that's existing, and you'll then be in bidding wars with probably right now 6 to 7. You'll probably be dealing with 16 to 25. And to me, that's a lot harder to find a home for you at that time.
Okay. Last question. There is a lot of fear around housing, finances, and just the overall cost of living right now. Mm-hmm. How can we move forward with a positive outlook?
Yeah, so again, the last thing you want is to have fear enter. There is just reality. I think it's important to ask really good questions as we're heading into the next stage. And this is where you may not have all the answers. I definitely don't. That's why we want to have people in our world who are bringing us answers, who are giving us ideas. And so as we're moving through this, when you're looking at the cost of groceries, the cost of gas, all the things that are in the environment, the better thing to start to do is say, okay, so these changes are happening. What can I control to help me move through it? And then who in my world can I speak with that maybe can give me resources that I don't know about or have yet? Right? Like what plans are out there? What things can support me so that I can move through it, get myself back into stability? If you're feeling unstable, look to the people that can support you. Don't try, if I stay in my own mind, the hard part is I'm just talking to myself. Well, I'm only as smart as I am. But when I put myself in a room with a group of people like yourselves, everyone here has a different life experience. And some of the things you guys have learned through your experiences give me the ability to learn from it. So as we move through into this next stage, whether that's real estate, whether that's just investing, whether that's finding work, whether that's how do I keep my home, I'd rather you reach out and ask the questions. We may not be able to come up with the best solutions, but at least we're talking and hopefully coming towards a better outcome than being in fear and worry and not, doing anything.
Yeah. Perfect. Good advice. Thank you so much for your update and for helping us see the potential that we have for us and our families. So I'd like to open up the floor now if there's anyone who has questions for any of our panelists, or maybe our panelists have questions for each other. So
I have some feet. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I just wanted to talk about realtors in here. Are you a realtor? Can you raise your hand so I know my audience? Okay. So things to look for. Many local municipalities are looking at regulating short-term rentals. If they haven't already, they're looking at doing that. So be aware of your market. For example, in Essex, if you're going to sell somebody a cottage in Colchester, they cannot easily convert that into a short-term rental. Things like this, we need to be aware of. Also, in terms of scanning your market, we have, in terms of affordability and everything, different municipalities have different rules and regulations on drainage. So in our municipality, if you live in a rural area, you fall under the Drainage Act. So sometimes people move into an area, we as the town come through, we clean out the drain, and everybody gets like $1,000 bills, like thousands and thousands some. So you have to be aware of that, because realtors often they're not always aware. I don't think they're duping people. They're not aware of what's going on when people buy a home in an area. So be aware of things like that in the neighborhoods where you're selling. Another thing that I just want to throw out there for the room, because this has really come to my desk lately, is land leased properties. So for example, Lushire Estates, in McGregor, Viscount Estates in Essex. Those are the two big ones. So what is happening? The trend is that people would have a mortgage, people would have taxes on, even though it's land leased, they get a cut of the taxes. But now there's the land rent. So the land rent is usually, traditionally, has been $200, $200, maybe $200 to $400. What's happening now is when a home moves out, that is going to $600, $700, $800. So I get the MLS. I get somebody to send me the MLS listings, and I look, and the trailer park homes, the land lease communities, the homes for sale in there are not moving like they used to. You think, oh, this is great. This $299,000 looks clean. I don't have a lot of maintenance. And then you break down the cost to buy that home. And when you have a land lease of 6, 7, 8, that's almost another mortgage, right? When you think about that. So that is something, and I don't know what I can do. I don't know. I think it's more of a provincial thing. I think it's maybe a combination of the land leased owners, the property management. They had low rates for a long time. They have to play some catch up to redo the roads and the infrastructure in the areas. I get that. But I also think there is some gouging to some degree. So really the tenants or they need to approach the province. They need to organize. I really can't help them, but it is a huge reality. And those homes were the more affordable homes in our communities. Mm-hmm. And now they're getting priced right out of the market. So that's a major challenge that I wanted to share.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. And Sherry, just while you have the mic, kind of, can you tell us again that website that you were saying to check and see if an ADU is possible on our property? Yeah.
Sure, yeah. And it's AUD search. It's easy, but for Essex, it's not up and running yet.
Okay.
And also, if you want to look at each town, their planning department would be able to tell you how to get started with a tiny home. Ours is called secondary dwelling units. You go to our website. We have a complete user guide on how to build one, like
Amazing.
step by step by step. So we're really organized. We're really pro ADUs.
That's awesome. Thank you. Is there anyone who has a question for one of our panelists or all of our panelists? No? They've just done such an amazing job that nobody has any questions. I think I
have a few more challenges.
Okay, please, by all means, take that mic back. I'm just going to sit down.
Okay, no, well, sorry. So just from a municipal perspective, there's a lot of pressure on us to grow. But there's also pressure on us from the current residents that are here to supply hydro, to supply water, to supply sanitary capacity. And we have a lot of constraints with that. The Ford government just came out with a grant, enabling housing grant for water infrastructure. We're applying for it. Just in my municipality, we've reached water sanitary capacity in Ward 3 in Colchester, and we are done expanding in Ward 2, which is McGregor. McGregor is split in half Amherstburg, half Essex. So we rely on a joint building, which we have to build. So we are really at a capacity constraint. So if there is any collective voices in the real estate business, if you lobby the province put out 800 million for grants for infrastructure, but our sewage treatment plant that we need is like 40 million. And the grant funds up to 73%. So, and there's 444 municipalities in Ontario. So if there's a 5% chance we're going to get this grant. So we really need municipalities. Everybody thinks, they have all this money. Municipalities do not. I'm living and breathing it. I'm living and breathing it every day. We are the frontline government, and we are responsible for much more than everybody else, and we get 8% on a tax dollar. So we're not living high on the hog. I don't make a lot of money, and the town staff employees do okay, but we don't have a lot of money, right? Our infrastructure is, we need to upkeep our infrastructure, and we're trying to do all this. So we need money from the province for growth related projects. So, and also hydro capacity in our area is something we also need to have a unified voice, because nobody wants to grow these subdivisions and have their lights blinking and their toilets backed up. Yeah. So that is the thing. Also, just from a flooding perspective, if you are selling a home to somebody that has a sanitary backup and it's all great, you have a sanitary backflow valve, make sure to tell them to get it inspected. Just because you have one on your property doesn't mean it's always going to work. I've experienced that with the recent flood. People are like, oh, I have one. Well, when was the last time you got it inspected? So we need to really encourage people to do maintenance on their homes, because no matter, municipalities cannot 100% protect every home from flooding, natural disasters. That's going to happen more and more. So we need to have more buyer beware for our residents. In the flood of August, my municipality was decimated, and some houses on beach roads were fine. So I said to this, actually Dan in Verarity, he's a realtor too, and his road flooded. I said, Dan, your whole road flooded, but you didn't. I said, how do you live down here? How did you know? He goes, Sherry, I looked at a topographical map or whatever, and my house was really high, so I knew I wasn't going to flood. So if you're interested in helping your clients not flood, that's something that you could do.
So just to piggyback on IRCA itself actually has a map you can look at to see where the floodplains lie. It's interesting because, of course, I've had clients who own land and they want to build. Anytime you're near IRCA, whether that it was actually Bell River, and what was interesting was, so they have 6 acres and they could build on 3% of it, because with the floodplain that could come out, they basically had this little block in the middle. And what's interesting is when they bought the property, of course, they didn't look. But then because you have all this acreage and it's never flooded. But because of IRCA's situation, the way they look at it, again, I live in LaSalle, Turkey Creek's there. If you go look at it where my old house was, it was funny because it shows that stages of if it were to rise, what would happen. So if you ever are curious, IRCA has the maps. You can go on. It's a little bit difficult to use, but it does exist. And again, whenever I deal with properties, especially out Colchester, the Amherstburg along the water there, Highway 50, you want to take a quick peek just to see exactly where you are in that. So just like the AUD site, this site exists that you can as a realtor or as a consumer take a peek just to kind of see where it is. I wouldn't use it as fear. It's just so you know. And especially if you're thinking of building or doing things, you want to make sure that, again, IRCA is not going to create an issue for you in Windsor-Essex. So.
Any questions? Comments?
Yeah.
Okay. Jordan, why don't you close us off here?
Close us off.
Yeah.
I open this up because
now
I'll need some notes.
He has notes.
I have notes for this. Okay. Yeah. No. So again, I want to say a big thank you to you for coming tonight, bringing your expertise, helping us learn more about the mortgages, what the options are for the first-time home buyers, for the multiple home buyers. It's not the 5% is good for everybody. It's not just good for your first time. Again, Mayor Sherry Bondy, thank you so much for coming. That was just understanding the commitment you have in the community to really not only support the community from the pulling the trash out of the things, but to the point where it's like, okay, I want to show people by taking the step myself and building an ADU and then using that to show people how they can do it. And even if it does maybe cost me something today, it does give you the benefit for the long term. As you mentioned, I don't get a retirement plan either. So it's a good way to invest in and build that out. So again, thank you so much for your words. Chris Hanna and his wife Raquel here tonight helping with the recording. So for everybody who's going to get to see this online, big thanks to them for helping with this. To my wife and my daughter and my son for helping with some of the things out front. A huge thank you to Shauna for helping me show up and actually put on, a nice sweater and get dressed up a little bit. Still got to wear my hat. And so again, thank you so much with that. Tonight also, I'd like to thank my mom. She's not here. She works with us in supporting, putting some of this together tonight, but she went to my friend's, benefit, which happened to come out the day before we had put this on. And he's actually OPP. His name's Zach and he has cancer. And so we have, a sign up over there. It's a GoFundMe for him. He's trying to get, treatment in Mexico because they've done everything they can for him here. He's only 30 years old. So my parents went to the benefit tonight. My dad as well, Doug Silvester. They went there to support him, of course. Of course, I'm here tonight to be here. So I just wanted to, again, thank everybody for coming. We do have a raffle prize. So we'll get that drawn. You're picking.
So we have it's a gift basket with like a bunch of stuff from Windsor-Essex County, and we'll get Sherry to present it.
Oh, Charisse Guyton. Woo! See, arriving late does have its benefits.
So as we wrap up, again, there's a lot of business people here, different networking. We've got One Source here with Sarah. So again, and Danielle's hiding over there. We've got Corrine, who's also a realtor in the house. We've got Taylor. If you have any financial, things you're looking for, anybody else, we got Justin. He's doing business to business coaching. And then of course we have Charisse over in the corner who is bookkeeper. So if you need any of those needs, if you want to get, your face all over the internet and look like a crazy person, Chris Hanna with All in Content's always a great thing.
He actually makes you look not crazy.
Well, yeah. That's actually quite the impressive thing.
Yeah, there's only so much he can do, Jordan. But I mean, no.
Is there anybody else here that's in business or that would want to be recognized while we're just chatting quickly? And then that way we can do some networking or chat afterwards. There's still some food I can see it to eat.
Not for long.
No, Sherry's getting up. She's going.
Ready.
What? You? Are you looking at me to say yes? Okay. So my wife, Corey, she's working with Huron Shores as a condo manager as well. Anyways, thank you again so much for coming, everybody. We'll see you guys online. Again, let's have some networking, have some food, hang out for a bit. It would be great to chat with everybody.
Perfect. Thank you.